Hello, ECE 240, and welcome to week 3. We are now focused on chapter 2, biological beginnings. And before we get into kind of the core of this chapter, and the big takeaway for this week is going to be nature versus nurture. I'm going to do some connecting really quick before we get there. One of the things I want to start with is I hope by now you've gone through the observation booklet and you already identified which observation you want to complete for category 1. Very, very important. Of course, as you fill out your template for the observations, that last section that talks about research, you can connect the theories to that. So since we haven't gone too deep into the book yet, and you want to start working on your observations, you can do that by connecting what you're seeing in your observations, connecting them to the theories that we learned about last week. And so I do want to kind of give a review a little bit on these theories and what is really the goal, what is the ultimate goal of having these different developmental theories. Well, what these theories, and you went through your book and you saw that there were a lot of different theories, and you went through a discussion, you kind of identified which the theory connected to you the most. But a lot of these theories have one thing in common, or multiple things in common. That it helps us to get to self-identity, and that we grow, and as we grow and as we go through these different stages, we go through these different developmental tasks, from very simple to more complex, and we can handle these more complex tasks as we go through our developmental stages. And we kind of think about, what is that ultimate goal of our ability to go through these different developmental stages? Well, they support us to achieve autonomy for ourselves and independence. We can think on our own and we can do for ourselves. In the world of psychology, these distinct stages that we go through is what we're going to see in the differences of our behavior, how we act, how we are. And that our behavior, connecting to what I said before, is that our behavior becomes more complex over time through these developmental stages. But what's interesting as we go through these developmental stages, these theories on the theories of development, one of the things that many of these theories have in common, and we talk about what's the ultimate goal, is that we have autonomy, that we have this kind of independence, that we can think for ourselves. But to get there, to get to that autonomy, to get to that area where we can do for ourselves, guess what? We learn this via relationships with others. Our primary caregivers. Many say your first and best teacher, your parents. I mean, those that live with you, grandparents, uncles, and aunts, those that you were involved and engaged with, that you learned from, that took the time to teach you lessons. Interesting. We grow our autonomy, we grow our independence through our relationships with others. We need others. We need other people to gain our independence. So that's critically important. And Harvard University tells us that we really need one strong relationship, one form of attachment with at least one adult in our life. There needs to be that one adult champion in our life to help guide us through these stages. So really important for us here in the United States, our education system is really built on the foundation of two of the theories you learned about last week, which is Piaget and Vygotsky. And later this semester, we're going to really spend some time and get deeper into those two theories. Okay? And now I want to connect those theories into what is 80-90, right? The importance. And so remember that 80% of critical brain development happens by the time a child is age 3. And 90% of critical brain development happens by the time that child is 5 years old. So by the time that that child hits kindergarten, 90% of critical brain development has already occurred, and that leaves from kindergarten all the way to the rest of our lives only 10%. Pretty amazing. So we have this core window. When we think about these developmental theories, oh my goodness, the stages that happen within those first 5 years play a critical role of our foundation as adolescents and, of course, as adults. We want as many neuron connections as possible. There's going to be some videos that I'll share with you later this semester that really get into that and do a really good job of focusing how critically important it is. The more connections we have, the more we can use in the future. And the reverse can also happen. There can be dramatic situations that happen in our life that don't allow us to create those connections. And that means we have less connections to use in the future. Think about it this way. Once again, we're trying to build as many highways, freeways, streets, avenues that connect the different parts of our brain. And from birth to 5, we have the ability to create the most amount of connections during those first 5 years of life. So we have this window, once again, that if we're intentional, if we're focused, if we know how to take advantage of these theories, and we know how to take advantage of brain development, we have the ability to really support strong brain foundation connections within the first 5 years of life. And what happens is a child has the opportunity. We want that child to have health insurance. And when the child is born, they're going to see their pediatrician in that first week of being born. You're going to want that. And then at the age of 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months. And these are called well child visits. And during these well child visits, what pediatricians and family doctors are looking at are these developmental milestones that kind of connect to these theories that we have learned. These are things that children should be able to achieve during a certain age, within 3 months, 6 months. Now, we do know that children are going to meet milestones at different times. But this sets us up to kind of, as parents and professionals, to really start looking and saying, hey, is my child meeting these milestones? And puts you in a position of what you can do to meet those milestones. And we will get into that later this semester with the opportunity to learn about developmental milestones and have the opportunity to support you of how to enhance children's play and how they learn and enhance the way they talk and act and move. And really, all this gives you cues on development and how you can best support children during these stages and how they best can learn and grow ultimately to be successful in life. So now that you've learned about these theories, now that we know that within these theories, we have a prime window of opportunity within the first 5 years of life to support strong brain development that becomes the foundation of who we are. Think about that really quick. That you today, the foundation of who you are is because of the experience you got within the first 5 years of life. The environment, the exposure, the relationships that you had during those 5 years of life set up the foundation of who you are today and who you will be tomorrow as well. Our goal this week is to really understand the difference between nature versus nurture. So the expression of nature versus nurture, which is the big takeaway of this chapter, you will see this on your midterm. And these videos are going to help you on preparing you for the questions that you're going to have on your midterm and final. So these videos are only going to support your learning, but more importantly, support your ability to prepare for your midterm and final as well. So I'm taking with the big ideas, the very important things within a chapter that we're going to focus on during this class. So the expression of nature versus nurture describes the question of how much a person's characteristics are formed either by nature or nurture. So you're saying, well, what is nature or nurture? So nature means that the person I am today, there are two main things, nurture and nature, that make up who I am. And the first one is nature. Now, we're not talking about Mother Nature, but what it means, nature, is that it means the biological factors, which means primarily genetics. The genetics that you got from your biological mother and father that helped shape who you are. And that whole family tree that came from your father and that whole genetic tree, family tree that came from your mother came together and they made a unique you. So those biological factors within the genetics determine who you are. Once again, it's two factors, right? The nature, your genetics, and now what is nurture? Well, nurture really is your environment. How your environment, where you live, what religion you're part of, the people that are engaged in your life, the town you live in, the amount of exposure of where you live and what you can get, the things you're introduced to by your family. All of this environment impacts who you are as well, and also impacts your brain development. So nature and nurture, your genetics and your environment, start to impact your brain development and also start to impact your behaviors. And there's kind of like this long-standing debate in biology and society about which one actually has a bigger impact, your nature or your nurture of who you become. which of these kind of two competing factors, nature and nurture, actually influence more of who you are? This is a big debate that goes on and on and on and on. Is it because you're smart because your mom was really smart and you took on those genetics? Or is it because you're smart because you went to some of the best schools out there, that you had the best teachers and the environment and things like that, right? Well, I will say this. I want to spin this versus perspective and say it's both. Nature and nurture. We all can agree that both of them have an impact of who you are. Both of them can also have an impact that can delay growth as well. And we'll get into that a little bit later this semester. But you are not in control of your genetics. You did not have the choice to say, I want this person to be my mom, I want this person to be my dad, and boom. Also, when you're very little, you're not in control of your nurture. But guess what? Us as parents, uncles, aunts, neighbors, future educators, future nurses, in the world of social work, we have the ability to impact the nurture that a child will receive. So this information, this class, we're going to learn about the nature, but what's in our control, what's in our power to maximize that window of 80-90 is within our nurture. Many people can call this love, but you know what it means as well? Time, commitment, understanding the power of brain development and how we can use science and our ability to enhance the relationships, our teaching, that only can support a child's opportunity of 80-90, that puts them on a pathway to success. That's what this class is about. Now we're getting to the fun part. You learned about these theories, but this week we're learning about nature and we're learning about nurture and how they work together to support who we are and who children will be. But more importantly, as we continue in this class, we will learn how to take advantage of nature, and more importantly, we will use it. Nurture becomes our tool to impact the development of ourselves and others. That's what I want to leave you with. That's the power and the opportunity that we have. So enjoy your reading for this week. What I want to do really quick before we finish this video is have the opportunity of what is expected for you this week. Well, there's been a lot of debate around, is it nature or nurture that determines how intelligent or how smart you are? So here's the question that I have for you this week that you're going to discuss with your peers. Imagine that someone tells you that they have analyzed your genetic background and environment experience and reached the conclusion that the environment you grew up in as a child definitely had little influence on your intelligence, saying that, you know what, it all came from your genetics of how smart you are, had nothing to do with your environments. What would you say about this analysis? What would be your response to that? Remember, your response needs to be 300 words. Please try APA format using evidence from your book and from the chapter you read with the in-text citation and a full reference at the end. You won't be docked on it if you're not doing it correct. For your midterm and final, you will be expected to use APA correctly. And then you have a quiz that is due on Sunday as well. So post your response to this by Friday, and then a response to one of your peers on Sunday. One of the things that I really want you to take advantage of this semester is the videos that I have that only can help you and enhance your learning. I have 3 short videos that are focused on what is the difference between nature and nurture. This confirms what you're learning here and does it in a different way to support your learning. And then a study about twins. This is really fun as well. I got a TED Talk on what is the most important influence on child development. And a video that I want you to watch all these videos. Does not take much time. They're very quick. And the one video that's really important, the stage kind of sets the stage on how environment can help you, but also how your environment can hold you back and actually cause damage and brain development, is called ACEs. And the impact that adverse childhood experiences during those first 5 years, how they can impact our brain, our body, and behavior. So our environment can work both ways. We want to create the best environment possible. That's my goal to provide to you this semester, but we also can do the reverse and how our environment can actually impact in a very negative way our brain development. So watch those videos, enjoy those videos, let them enhance your learning. And I look forward to your discussion. And I wish all of you a wonderful, wonderful week. Take care. Goodbye.